Yeah, good morning. We are working on some salmon cakes as an appetizer. We're gonna take one egg and we're gonna put it in a bowl, whip it up. Nice big egg, double yolk. So we'll mix this real good. We're gonna put some onion. This is white onion, a little bit of green onion, some parsley into the salmon cake. Add some chopped capers, a little bit of anchovy paste, Tabasco, a little Worcestershire. I'm missing, don't have any. I usually put a little bit in. We'll add a little bit of mustard, Dijon, or this one is whole grain. Put some relish. This is a dill pickle relish. So we're almost making like tartar sauce. Right on top of this, we have some lemon juice. I'm gonna put in, strain that out so we don't get any seeds. Okay, and to hold this all together, usually we're gonna use a little bit of mayonnaise and egg. So I have some mayonnaise. We'll just put a little bit in there. Don't get it too creamy. We want it fairly fishy. This moistens up the cake a little bit too. And we're gonna add a little bit of this egg, not all of it, maybe half. That's a jumbo egg, so it's pretty big. So the one thing you gotta watch out for is this anchovy. Make sure it breaks up pretty good. So put it into the egg, and it's been pureed on the cutting board. Now we're just gonna put everything together. To finish this, we need a little salt and pepper. You could use cayenne, but we already have Tabasco in there, so you don't really need it. It's great to put fresh herbs in here. Dill, tarragon, paprika, all of that is great. So we're gonna add a little bit of that stuff coming in. A little bit of tarragon, since I don't have any fresh dill. Tarragon's nice. A little bit licoricey, always works good with seafood. A little bit of paprika. You can also use Old Bay seasoning, which is good for fish cakes and whatnot. Already got that in there. And that is the basis of the fish cake. You can use any kind of fish here that's cooked. This would be a quick appetizer. Okay, while we're working on that, I have over on the stove, I'm gonna blanch this tomato and peel it. So we're gonna take the core out. Be very careful doing this. A lot of people cut themselves trying to take the core out. Put a little X over the little flour end and then drop it in some hot water. Boil it. Need just a little bit more. It's a big tomato. And then we'll cool that down over here. As soon as it starts to peel away from the tomato. Doesn't take long. In fact, it might be almost done. If you put that little X on the bottom, it definitely moves things along much quicker. Then we're gonna make a little tomato sauce from that. The tomato sauce is gonna be called a tomato fondu, or literally translates into melted tomato. So first thing we gotta do is make tomato concasse, and that's what the blanching of the tomato does. Helps us make a nice clean tomato sauce without any skins in it. We'll form some little cakes and we'll have ourselves a nice little appetizer. Okay, that's pretty good. This is hot, so run a little cold water under it. You can see the skin starting to peel off here very nicely. We don't really want to cook the tomato. We just want to peel it. So if I use a paring knife here, pull on the skins, they should come right off. Got a little blemish on there, make sure I cut that out. Okay, this is the beginning of tomato concasse. That's how you peel a tomato. This one then can be cut in half, and the seeds here are all going to come out, and we do that by squeezing and shaking. This is all going to be pureed, so we don't need the tomato looking perfect. There's one side. Just trying to get the seeds out. Okay, here's the other side. A little bit of seed left right there. Then we'll dice this up. This time of year we don't have the freshest tomatoes, so these are better when they're in season. So I think when we do this, we'll use maybe a little bit of tomato paste or tomato sauce, some kind of tomato that has a bit of flavor to it. All right, that's good. I'll be right back and we'll make these cakes. All right, back at it here. We're gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper here to the salmon. I'm just going very light because that mustard and mayonnaise, they have plenty of seasoning in it. The dill relish is salty, so I don't want to overdo it. I had a little taste while we were off camera and it's pretty darn close, so not a lot of salt in there. So these are ready to shape. They're a bit wet. They're never easy to form. So I put some gloves on and try to make a little patty, and we'll bread them. Since we already have egg in there, you don't really need to put them into any egg or flour, although you can. You just make a little patty and lay it into the breadcrumbs. And these are just store-bought breadcrumb, nothing special. Try to keep everything a fairly decent size. If you find this is a little mushy or too soft for you, you can always add a little breadcrumb to the mix and firm it up a little bit. Maybe you put too much egg in, maybe it's too soft and you're miserable. You can do this with crab. You do this with all kinds of fish meat. All right, I'm gonna switch from gloves to bare hands here, and then we'll take these and shape them. Okay, after a short break, here we go. We're gonna do the tomato fondue. So a little saute pan. We're gonna put a little olive oil in here. I'm on a medium to medium high heat. We're gonna start with a little bit of onion. You could use shallot. Shallot is probably more traditional. This is white onion, so it's a little mellow. So basic sauce making, again, this is the most simplistic of the tomato sauces. Mise en place here is the diced onion. I'm going to add a little garlic. And we have tomatoes. I have the contadina tomato paste, which I've opened both ends. And that way I can just push on one end and slide the tomato paste out. And this end is still attached a little bit. Okay, just like that. You can kind of push on the bottom and it pushes your tomato paste right out. And then you can just use a knife and take it off the top. Okay, I don't want to really burn any onions, so I'm not looking to caramelize. You see any color in there, just keep moving them around. When we start seeing any little bit of brown, we go ahead and add the garlic. A little butter is always nice for this one. If you're going to add dried herbs, I would add them now, but we already have the herbs in the fish cake, so not necessary to repeat that. Then we'll add the tomatoes here. This will keep things from browning too much. We can let those tomatoes cook a little bit here. A little color in the tomato is not a bad thing. We don't want to get too much color on the onions. So. If you add a little salt at this point, it's going to help draw out some of the moisture in those onions. The idea is to really kind of sweat them out. And while that's cooking, we'll put in a little bit of tomato paste. Stir the tomato paste in and have some liquid ready to deglaze. If I wanted to do stock, I can add fish stock to this. The tomato paste here is going to give a little color too, so it's not so pale looking. So really what I'm looking for is a little tomato looking color. Because it's winter, tomatoes aren't real fresh right now. Add a little bit of black pepper. A little bit of white wine. We're going to add a little bit of lemon juice since it's going with seafood. It's just a tea strainer. Turn the heat down now that we're simmering and let this simmer. It'll take about 10-15 minutes to really soften up those tomatoes. And this is the beginning of tomato fondue. Okay, so this tomato sauce is pretty much cooked down about 15 to 20 minutes. And the consistency is nice here. I can always thin it by adding a little stock or water. I checked seasoning and it's fairly good. We'll blend it now. So we're gonna move over this way and puree this in the sink, right in a cup. Because I don't have a lot of sauce here. So we're just gonna put it right in this bar shaker. My blender reaches the bottom. So this will prevent things from flying all over the kitchen. It's about 1/3 of the way full. Okay, we'll just take a little burr mixer here. Cleans up pretty quick. We'll just dry it off here in a minute. And there's the finished sauce. We do need to adjust for salt, pepper. You could make this spicy very easily if you wanted to put a little cayenne into it. We can put it into the pan and see what the sauce looks like at this point. So this is really just a fresh tomato sauce. Call that the tomato fondue, and we'll see. You know what, it's pretty good. So I don't need really anything else in there. We'll go ahead and then cook our salmon cakes. So back over here, sorry about the rumbling. Take a saute pan. This one's already preheated. I cooked some tortillas in there. So I'm going to add a little bit of oil. Wipe it down. Make sure there's no remnants of the tortilla ending up in my cakes. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more oil just to coat the bottom of the pan. I'm not pan frying too much. I just want to gently saute these. Okay, the oil's preheated already because the pan's hot. And then we're gonna put these cakes in there. So I'll use a fish spatula, which is nice and broad. These are holding together much better after they sit for a little bit. Go ahead and gently flip these. Move some oil back under where you stole it from. Nice golden brown. And that would be a nice little appetizer to get started for the evening. And those are salmon cakes with a tomato fondue. Thank you.